Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something really fundamental. The actual physical evidence. What does archaeology, what do inscriptions tell us about the Israelites in the land of Israel?
Right.
We're going to look at everything from, stone inscriptions to digs, the Dead Sea Scrolls, basically give you the essential nuggets, the core evidence.
And it's fascinating because we move beyond just stories to, well, actual stuff, things found in the ground. We'll cover a huge span, like late Bronze Age, right through the Second Temple period.
Okay, so where do we start this journey? What's the absolute earliest point?
We have to start with the Merneptah Spiel. It's Egyptian, dated around 1208 BCE.
Okay.
And it's got the earliest known mention of Israel outside the Bible. But what's really key for you to grasp is how it refers to Israel.
How so?
It doesn't say a city or a kingdom. It calls Israel a people group or rural folk.
Ah, interesting. So a distinct group, but maybe not a state yet.
Exactly. It suggests they had a collective identity there in Canaan, even before, the big monarchy stories you read about.
Right.
Kind of resets the clock.
Right. So if they're there as a people, the next obvious question, and I know this is huge in academic circles, is how? How did they get there? The conquest idea or?
Yeah, that's the classic debate. You've got the swift conquest theory, like in parts of the Bible. Then there's the idea of a slow, gradual infiltration, maybe settlement.
Or the peasant revolt idea.
Or that, yeah, an internal uprising. But honestly, where a lot of scholarship lands now is, well, it's more complex. Probably a mix.
Okay.
The archaeology seems to point mostly towards that gradual settlement idea, especially in the highlands, which weren't heavily populated before.
That wasn't just random, right? It was strategic.
Absolutely strategic.
Huh.
Look, these early Israelite groups, they generally didn't have the heavy-duty military gear like chariots. So taking on the powerful Canaanite cities down in the plains, that was tough. The highlands were more feasible.
So adapting to the highlands actually shaped their culture. What kind of unique things do we find there?
We do. Very distinct things. One big one is the four-room house. You see this style pop up a lot in settlements from around 1200 to 1000 BCE.
4 rooms designed for.
Seems perfect for extended families.
Yeah.
Their farming needs. Very practical. And another key adaptation, plastered cisterns.
Cisterns for water.
Exactly. Carved into the rock, lined with plaster to hold rainwater. This was critical up in the hills, away from reliable springs, to let them live sustainably in these unfortified villages. It really shaped how they lived.
Simple tech, huge impact. Okay, so from these early settlements, this people group, how do we get to kingdoms? What's the physical evidence for the monarchies, like Israel and Judah?
Oh, there's significant evidence. Take the city of David in Jerusalem. Major excavations there show really substantial structures, evidence of a real kingdom capital.
Like fortification.
Monumental support structures, yeah.
Yeah.
And also layers showing destruction, matching up with the Babylonian conquest around 587 BCE. But even more specific, we find bullae.
Bullae, clay seals, right.
Exactly. Tiny clay seals for documents. And some bear names you'd recognize straight from the Bible,
Yeah.
like Jemariohu ben Shaphan or Gedaliahu ben Pashur.
Wow, so direct links to individuals mentioned in the text?
Direct links. It's like finding their administrative fingerprint. Really tangible stuff.
That is tangible. Anything else that provides that kind of direct hit for major biblical figures or lines?
Absolutely. The Tel Dan stele. This is huge.
Okay, tell me about that.
It's a fragment of a basalt monument set up by an Aramean king, probably mid-9th century BCE. And what's stunning is it explicitly mentions the House of David.
No way! House of David!
Clear as day. Along with Jehoram, king of Israel, and Ahaziah of the House of David. This is external proof, from an enemy no less, confirming the Davidic dynasty. It moves us from people group to a named royal family.
That's incredible validation. So these finds, they aren't just random dots, they're connecting into a real picture. What about later evidence, after the main kingdom periods?
Right, well that takes us straight to the Dead Sea Scrolls, an amazing discovery.
Found in caves near Qumran, mid-20th century, right?
That's the one. These scrolls, dating from roughly the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, they just revolutionized how we understand the Bible texts.
How so?
Well, they push back the date of our earliest complete Hebrew Bible manuscripts by like 1,000 years. It was massive for textual criticism, how scholars study the text's history.
Okay, so crucial for understanding the texts themselves. But for our deep dive, what do they tell you about the people living there? The Jewish presence?
Great question. They show two things, almost paradoxically. One, incredible accuracy in how some texts were copied over centuries,
Okay.
but also, too, that the scriptures were still somewhat fluid, still developing before the final canon was set. But the biggest point for us, these are physical proof.
Proof of.
Proof that Jewish communities were living right there, writing mostly in Hebrew, with this incredibly rich religious and literary life, centuries before Islam even began. It underlines this deep, continuous connection, cultural, religious, to that specific land.
So pulling it all together, Merneptah Steele saying Israel is a people. Then the unique houses and cisterns showing settlement. The Tel Dan stele naming the House of David, and the Dead Sea Scrolls showing continuous Jewish life and scripture. It paints quite a picture, doesn't it?
It really does. A picture of undeniable long-term presence and development in the land of Israel.
A deep archaeological and historical footprint.
Definitely. But, it's also important to remember archaeology often supports the general biblical narrative, but it also adds complexity.
How do you mean?
Well, the exact way Israel emerged, for example, conquest versus settlement, that's still debated, still refined by new finds. And the Dead Sea Scrolls show us that texts and historical memory aren't static. They evolve.
Right. It's not always a simple match. There's nuance.
There's nuance. But the overall body of evidence powerfully connects this people, their culture, their religion, inextricably to that specific place over millennia.
It's an ongoing story told by the ground itself. So thinking about all this evidence, what's the one thing that really makes you pause and reflect on this deep connection between a people and a land?